If you just finished the Cinemachine target group part of this series, the next logical step is combat. So in this video, we're going to build a simple local multiplayer combat system where players can hit each other, flash on impact, get knocked back, lose health, and trigger a camera shake. But the important part is this. We're going to do it in a way that still lays the groundwork for a clean, scalable combat framework. So this is not just make it work code, but it's structured well enough so that we can keep building on it later. And if you want the exact project I'm using here, I've got a downloadable version linked below so you can follow along, compare your code, or just use this as your starting point. We're starting from the Cinemachine target group version of the project. Check the description for the link to that project if you want to start from there. At this point, we already have player joining, player movement, the multiplayer camera, and the Cinemachine target group following all active players. Now we're going to layer on combat on top of that. All right, before we jump into code, here's the shape of the system we're building. We're splitting combat across a few focus scripts. PlayerCombat handles attack timing and hit detection. Player health handles health. PlayerController handles movement plus hit reactions like flash and knockback. CombatHitData is the payload we pass around when a hit lands. And IHittable is a tiny interface that lets combat talk to anything that can receive a hit. That's already a strong foundation because every part has a clear reason to exist. We're not adding complexity for the sake of architecture. We're just keeping responsibilities separated enough that future combat features don't all end up crammed into one giant script. The first thing we need is an attack input. We already have move and jump, so now we add a third action called attack. I'm binding this to F for WASD player, right shift for arrows player, and right shoulder for gamepad. That keeps the control scheme simple and gives every player a dedicated attack button. Now the next part is small, but it's one of the most important pieces of the entire combat system. I want a simple way to describe a hit. Instead of passing damage, knockback, direction, attacker, and impact point as loose parameters all over the place, I'm wrapping them up into a small struct called CombatHitData. This is a really good scalability move because once combat starts growing, loose values become messy fast. And right below that, I'm adding a tiny interface called IHittable. This lets the attack system say, I found something that can receive a hit without needing to know anything else about how that target handles damage or reactions. That's a nice early step toward dependency inversion and cleaner communication between systems. Now I'm creating player health, and this script exists for one reason only, to manage health. It stores max health, current health, applies damage, and raises a health changed event. This is a very practical example of the single responsibility principle. Could health live inside PlayerController? Sure, but if it does, that player script starts becoming a dumping ground. By separating health now, we make the system easier to read, easier to test mentally, and easier to expand later. If we ever want AI enemies or breakable objects or different health behaviors, this becomes way easier to scale. Now for the main combat script, PlayerCombat. The attack input stays local to combat. We bind the attack action here instead of stuffing attack logic into movement code. Attack routine gives us readable timing. Using a coroutine for windup and recovery makes the punch timing easy to explain and easy to tune. OverlapSphere non-alloc keeps the hit test simple. This is a reliable hit detection method in front of the player without messing with animation events or weapon rigs. We only hit each target once per attack. The hash set hit roots keeps the system clean and prevents duplicate hits during the same attack. And finally, Cinemachine impulse is triggered only on a successful hit. This keeps the feedback tied directly to impact. This script owns the attack flow. That means we listen for attack input, we prevent attack overlap, we wait through a small windup, we scan for targets, we send hit data, and trigger camera shake when a hit lands. This is important architecturally because it gives us a single place where attacks are orchestrated. PlayerCombat does not own health, it does not own movement, and it does not own UI. It just owns attacks. That's the kind of separation that makes a system scale cleanly. Now we update PlayerController. This script already handles movement, and now we're expanding it so it can react to combat. The big change is that the PlayerController now implements IHittable. That means PlayerCombat can deliver a hit to the player without directly reaching into the player's internals. When a hit comes in, PlayerController does a few things. It tells player health to apply damage, it adds knockback velocity, it flashes the player's color, and it refreshes the UI label. Facing direction matters. We cache the last movement direction so attacks still know which way to hit, even if the player isn't moving that exact frame. Flash feedback is kept local. The player itself owns how it visually reacts to a hit. Knockback is just extra velocity. This keeps the implementation simple while still feeling good. So again, the responsibilities stay clean. Health math lives in player health. Attack math lives in player combat. And the PlayerController handles movement plus reaction. That's a scalable split because later we can replace or extend any one of those pieces without rewriting everything else. If you're following along and this is starting to click, make sure you grab the project files below, because once we get into the next video, we're going to start layering more advanced combat on top of this, and it builds directly on what we're doing here. Now that the PlayerController owns label and color presentation, the input manager gets a little cleaner too. Instead of directly reaching into the renderer and label separately, we let the PlayerController handle that setup through set assigned color and set label. That's not a massive change, but it's a good example of keeping data ownership in the right place. The input manager's responsibility is spawning and initializing players. It shouldn't be micromanaging player presentation more than necessary. At this point, the last step is wiring the player prefab. We add two new components: player health, player combat. This is another place where the structure helps us. Because the systems are component-based, the prefab setup is straightforward and composable. We're not building one monolithic player script. We're assembling a player from focused behaviors. This version is intentionally simple, but the architecture is still future-friendly. Here's why. Single responsibility. Player health only does health. Player combat only does attacks. PlayerController only does movement and hit reaction. That means each script is easier to change later. Cleaner communication through data and interfaces. CombatHitData gives us one stable shape for hit information, and IHittable gives us a clean entry point for anything that can receive a hit. So later, if I want enemies, destructible objects, or different player types, the combat system already has a reusable communication pattern. So at this point, you've got a working combat system, but more importantly, you've got a structure that can actually grow. And in the next video, we're gonna start pushing this further. If you want this exact project, grab it below. And if you wanna go way deeper and build a full local multiplayer game like this from start to finish, check out my full course linked in the description. That's where I take everything here and turn it into a complete, polished game. Otherwise, hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.